I'm a psychiatrist now at MIT campus Pune. Recently I read a blog about sex education by famous Dr. Shantanu Abhyankar, and luckily I met him here. So let's have a talk about this sensitive topic with Dr. Abhyankar. Abhyankar, it's nice to meet you. I have one question what made you write about this blog on sex education?
As a gynecologist, I come across many young people who have had problems, have suffered from problems because of lack of this particular faculty. So I strongly feel that sex education, or rather sexuality education, should be a part of the curriculum. See, there is a difference between the two. Because when you say sex education, people actually are rather embarrassed, they shirk away from the topic, and they feel shocked that usually when you talk to a person about sex education, a teacher or a parent or a member of the policy making bodies, they feel that when we are talking about sex education, this person will walk into the class and show graphic images of couples having sex in various positions and this and that. Like they can only think of Rajrao and things like that.
Yes, sir.
Which is absolutely incorrect message that we are sending when we call it sex education. What we actually mean is sexuality education. Now there is a basic difference between the two, sex and sexuality. As a psychiatrist, I am sure that you are very, very aware that sex is actually, it literally means the physical act of copulation.
Yes, sir.
Whereas sexuality encompasses all your life. Sex is limited to your reproductive years, if I may say so. But sexuality is there right as a child, as an adolescent, as an adult, and even in older age. So it doesn't leave you. If you become a brahmachari, you can do away with sex, but even a brahmachari cannot do away with sexuality, which is there, which is a part of his persona, part of his personality, and it is such an important thing. All these issues regarding adolescent health, a lot of them, such as unwed pregnancies, teenage pregnancies, all issues regarding child sexual abuse, rapes, the Nirbhaya case in Delhi, all these prompted me to write about this because I thought that talking about sexuality should be a part of the curriculum right from the junior classes.
Yes, sir. It's thanks for sharing this aspect of sex education. Should be called as a sexuality education rather than focusing on just on sex education. Age should we start with this education?
Ideally, it should start right from the primary classes. You see, when you are and right at home. But I am aware that all parents may not be very comfortable with it. They are not trained and they don't have these ideas about sex and sexuality ingrained in their own mind. So at least when a child goes to school, if not primary school, secondary school, these teachers should be trained and it should be a part of the curriculum. Usually sexuality education or adolescent education is something that is done in the higher classes. 8, 9, 10 standard students are huddled together in a classroom, boys separately, girls separately, and somebody comes and talks to them about menstruation, menstrual hygiene and things like that. But this is not enough. It should not be done like pulse polio doses to be given only on a particular day after so many days. It's not like that. It should be a part of the curriculum. Maybe the science teacher or the social science teachers, even language teachers can cooperate and can be a part of the faculty as far as this particular aspect is concerned. Because like I told you, it's all encompassing.
Yes, sir. And how often it should be there? Like it is a one time that you have taught children about sexuality education and it's over?
No, I told you that in fact it should not be done in paroxysmal manner. It should be a continuous process, an ongoing process. Because the child is going to have certain problems. There are situations will emerge in real life which the child would want to resolve. So when there is an open dialogue, a bridge of communication should be there all the time between the teacher and the child, and the parent and the child, and the parent and the teacher.
Yes.
So it's a three-way communication.
Okay.
And this open dialogue, and the child should always get a message that whatever your problems, we are there to help.
Yes.
so that the child does not search on the net or seek help from his friends, which can give wrong information at the wrong age and from an inappropriate source perhaps.
This education.
Content is actually anybody's guess, but more importantly, the content has to be age appropriate. See, a child can put this question to his mother, like, where did I come from?
Yes.
And the answer will depend on the age of the child, his understanding of human body, and his ideas or her ideas.
Yes.
Okay. So the answer should be age appropriate. So the same question can have different answers at different stages of life. Okay. That is one. Secondly, the content should focus more on issues regarding behavior, issues regarding equality of the sexes, gender discrimination.
Okay.
These issues are more important.
Okay.
Good touch and bad touch.
Yes, sir, that is important point
Yes.
because many people feel that good touch and bad touch is not part of sexuality education. So, what do you think?
It is very much a part of sexuality education. In fact, I would rather not call it good touch and bad touch because as a child, sometimes touching the genitals can be fun for the child as well.
Yes.
Okay, so something that the child interprets as good may not necessarily be good. So that is why instead of saying good touch and bad touch, it is just better to say acceptable and non-acceptable touch. The child should be taught what is okay and what is not okay. So rather than classifying it as pleasure and pain, we would rather classify it as acceptable and unacceptable. That will send a correct message. And it is important that every child knows about this. And we openly talk about this. When you talk about such issues and when you don't ask the child to shut up when something like this is brought out. No? Like I was telling you, the channels of communication remain open. Otherwise, usually, child will never speak to his parents about these issues. They will usually feel very, very embarrassed, very, very shy, and even if the child comes up with something, the parents will say that, oh, maybe they'll just change the topic.
Yes,
Because
parents
they are
are
also
very
not.
reluctant to talk
Yes.
on these topics.
In fact, when you ask them to talk, like when you go to the Parents Teachers Association,
There is a taboo regarding menstruation in our society, and so what do you think? How it is related to this sexuality education?
of course, it is intimately, very, very closely related, and taboos regarding menstruation have been in discussion in the media in the recent past.
Yes, sir.
Let us put them in the right perspective. You see, menstruation was something that the human beings never understood properly. When they were staying in the jungle, say,
Yes, sir.
a tiger would come and eat away their calf or their own family member, and they could see the danger.
Yes.
So there's things that could be easily explained, and then there is this menstruation, which they found it a very great mystery, because it happened every month. It happened to only young people, like only after you reach adolescence, and with menopause it would disappear. Of course, there were very few women who would go beyond menopause in those days, but whatever. And then it would stop with pregnancy. So it was a great, great mystery. Since it happened as a monthly cycle, people related it to the phases of the moon. And a lot of taboos were attached to it because women were thought to be impure during those days of when she's menstruating.
Yes, sir. Till now, this is continued in our society that they
Yes.
are impure, they are non-touchable.
Exactly. But now that we understand the physiology, we know why it happens, how it happens. Not only that, we can modify the way menstruation happens. In fact, so many women go to doctors and demand tablets for postponing menstruation for certain auspicious occasions, certain pujas, certain religious festivals. So the ability to modulate, change the onset of menstruation, postpone it, has been used to in fact highlight, underline and perpetuate these values which should have been shed, which are archived. Okay. So instead of using technology to improve your outlook towards your own body, technology has been misused.
Yes.
Okay. To carry ahead whatever is wrong. So these misconceptions actually have led to these menstrual taboos. And I think it is time that we get over them. And when we inculcate these ideas in our young minds, they will probably take the battle forward.
Yes.
So I think they should change. It is a very, very important issue that you have brought up.
Yes. Okay, sir.
There are a lot of noise made about banning pornographic sites, and the government found that it just could not do it because the technology is so advanced. That was one, and people actually demanded that there should not be a ban. So as a psychiatrist, what do you think? Is it healthy to have pornography for those who want it, or should it be absolutely banned?
Okay. I think we just can't ban certain things that you can't ban youngsters that you should not watch this, you should not watch that. Like tobacco, you can't ban that. That there are lots of ways that they can get those things. So it is better to advise that a healthy thing. So pornography is also advised when there are some kinds of sexual dysfunction. But what should be banned is child pornography. When there is shown that there is a violence or the unnatural sexual things are shown there, and obviously excessive use of pornography, that it is not a natural thing. So you have to focus on the natural things only, and then it is if you want as a pleasurable thing, then it can be there for your entertainment. But you should use it in a proper way as an entertainment only, and not you have to force somebody to do such a things as shown in the video,
As
because
depicted in
it
the
is
video.
not real.
You can't imitate Bollywood in real life.
Yeah,
Similarly, you can't imitate pornography in real life. One must understand that they are porn stars,
Yes.
and it is.
You can't make your partner to act as a porn star.
Right.
It is your partner, and you have to respect about your partner.
Precisely, and I think this respecting your partner happens to be a very, very important part of the content that you are talking about.
Yes.
Only recently I read an article about erectile dysfunction, the incidence of erectile dysfunction increasing because of open use of pornography, excessive use of pornography. Have you come across any such case?
Yes, sir. There is more use of pornography, and whatever shown there, it is not as real as it is shown. So the people have some inferiority complex with their body shape and about the length and inches. So it's not about the length, it's not about the inch, it's about you, how you can satisfy your partner. And then it's the skill, just it's not about your natural, and you have to respect your body parts, and you don't have to.
I think that's a very important word that you use, that it's a skill.
Yes.
I always tell my clients that it is, and I use the word clients and not patients, because
Yes,
I don't feel
they
that
are
they
not
are ill.
patients.
They are not
Yes,
patients. Okay, so I always tell my clients that it is a skill, and it's like learning a new language. So learning to have good sex is like learning a new language. You will not be able to write an epic poem if you start learning Japanese today. You will have to go with the alphabet, then the short sentences, and then a few paragraphs, maybe a few poems, and then you may be able to master the language. So it's something like that.
Yes.
So it takes time. It's a skill that you need to learn. It's a necessary skill.
Yes.
And in fact, many people counter this, saying that what is the need to teach all these things? What is the need to have this in the curriculum? Because the animals don't seem to have any sex education for them, or sexuality education, and they seem to be doing the right thing at the right time all the time. But then there is a basic difference. I think this is an area where we cannot be compared to animals at all, because sex in animals is driven by, what do I say, season. Okay, it's absolutely according to their hormonal impulses. But when humans, it is according to the reason. Okay. So there are so many cultural issues, family issues, personal issues, taboos, ethics, laws. So all these have to be factored in, and that is why sex and sexuality need some amount of training, and they need to be a part of the adolescent curriculum for sure.
Yes. Very much, sir, for sharing this very much informative information about us.
In fact, I am thankful, because it was such a nice thing to be interacting with you. And when I meet a person from a different faculty, I always get a different perspective on whatever I am doing. It's really been an enjoyable morning. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.